Chapter 12.
We're stopping! Hold on tight!
Papa warned as the taxi came to a stop in front of Angelou headquarters on Fifth Avenue. Smurfette shoved Grouchy's hands away. "Not to me, Grouchy." Grouchy laughed.
"Oh, did I do that? Sorry."
Patrick barely had one foot out of the taxi before he heard the familiar sound of little blue creatures.
"Master Winslow, we really need your help."
Papa called out to Patrick just as he was about to pay the driver. Smurfette waved. "Yoo-hoo! Hey!" Patrick raised his head to find the Smurfs standing on the roof of his cab. "What are you doing here?" he cried out, astonished. Gutsy was quick to reply.
"What part of we need a stargazer don't you understand, ya numpty?"
Patrick put a finger to his lips. "But you can't be out in public," he whispered. "Who are you talking to?" the cab driver shouted out the window at Patrick. Patrick told him to hang on a second.
"If we could just have a quick look around in your predicting parlor," Papa inquired.
"We really want to go home," Smurfette said.
"Come on, man, I gotta go,"
the cab driver yelled again. He wanted his money now. "Please, please," Smurfette begged. When a few of Patrick's co-workers walked out of the Angelou building, he panicked. "Okay, fine," he said, throwing some cash at the cab driver and opening his jacket pocket for the Smurfs to jump inside. "Just come here." Brainy wasn't too thrilled about the idea of getting into Patrick's jacket.
"Whoa, hey!"
he objected. Patrick gave him a stern look before eyeing the others. "All of you," he commanded. Knowing it was the only way into the building, Papa got in the coat.
"Careful,"
the older Smurf said. Gutsy warned.
"Watch the Smurf baddies."
Grouchy thought about the situation.
"Oh no, no way am I going in there,"
he complained. "Be quiet," Patrick snapped at Grouchy. One by one, they leaped off the roof with hardly a second to spare. Before the cab sped away, there was a moment of silence while everyone got as comfortable as possible inside Patrick's coat. Brainy whimpered.
"It's dark in here." "All right, who smurfed?"
Grouchy choked and coughed. With a final hushed shh, Patrick double-checked that everyone was hidden, and then quickly entered the building. He tried to look casual as he approached the receptionist at the front desk. Inside Patrick's jacket, Gutsy squirmed.
"Get your hands out of me kilt!"
"That's not my hand," Brainy defended himself. Patrick tried to look like nothing was going on, but all that squirming around was making him want to laugh. "Hey, ticklish," he muttered under his breath. "Good morning, Mr. Winslow," the receptionist greeted him. "Congratulations on your promotion." Patrick slapped at the lump in his coat as he offered a quick, "Thank you," and hurried toward his office. After checking that no one else was around, Patrick turned his attention to the Smurfs. "I hope you guys like desk drawers because that's where you're gonna—"
"You're late,"
Odile barked, startling Patrick. She waved some papers at Patrick that he immediately recognized. They were his, from inside his desk. "Oh, deal. You were in my office," Patrick nervously stated the obvious.
"It's my building,"
Odile said brashly.
"We have much work to do. The lunch for Juvenile is tomorrow night. Is your concept ready?"
It's close," he began to explain. "I had a crazy morning." Suddenly, Patrick began to giggle as the Smurfs wiggled around inside his jacket. Odile was not amused.
"What are you doing?"
Patrick forced himself to speak calmly. Nothing. It's just I'm excited about all the concept ideas." Just then, Gutsy growled. "Arrgh!" "And hungry." Patrick pressed a fist into his coat. "Hungry for, its success."
Nervous energy.
Odile considered it.
Nervous energy's what's going on up in here.
Patrick nodded fiercely. He wrapped his jacket more tightly around himself.
I like it. The fear of failure is a fabulous motivator.
With a smug grin, Odile walked off toward the elevators. True that, Patrick muttered as he watched her go. He hadn't even taken a step when Odile's assistant appeared in the hallway.
Henri?
Patrick greeted coolly, wishing he was finally alone already. Henri stared Patrick square in the eye and warned, "Make it work." Patrick sighed. You have no idea. The moment Patrick got to his office, he deposited the Smurfs onto his desk. As fast as he could, he closed the door and then attempted to block the windows.
Why did I get the armpit?
Grouchy complained. Stop pushing me, Smurfette shoved Grouchy hard. Are you guys crazy? Patrick told them all to keep it down. You're gonna get me fired. Smurfette tried to smooth her curls. Ow, my hair. Gutsy gasped for fresh air.
I couldn't breathe in there. It smelled like the business end of a sheep.
Brainy was the first Smurf to take a long look around the office. I don't see a stargazer, he reported. I'm sorry, Master Winslow, Papa apologized on everyone's behalf. But we badly needed to borrow your stargazer. I don't have a stargazer, Patrick cut in frantically. Okay? It's not something people of this century just have, especially here.
Not happy,
Grouchy said with a moan. Now, if you'll excuse me, Patrick continued, ignoring their disappointment. I have to work. Then he plopped down at his desk and booted up his computer. Then Papa had an idea. Well, perhaps we'll sing to help you work faster. Then we'll go and get the stargazer. Come along, Smurfs. Gathering around Patrick, the Smurfs began to serenade him. La 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 la, sing a happy song. La 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 la, Smurf the whole day long. Patrick tried to ignore them, but it was impossible. La 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 la, now you know the tune. La 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 la. Letting out an enormous, frustrated sigh, Patrick just couldn't take it any longer. Okay, stop! Stop! They all trailed off and stared at Patrick in surprise. Oh, come on! Nobody finds that song just the tiniest bit annoying? Patrick asked. I find it annoying, Grouchy said, raising his hand high in affirmation. Well, what do you sing at work? Papa wanted to know. I don't sing at work, Patrick told them. Smurfette gasped in horror. What?
And you have to wear a leash.
Gutsy shook his head in pity. I know. How about if we hum? Smurfette suggested. Immediately, the Smurfs began a low, muffled version of the La La song. As they hummed, the Smurfs began to explore Patrick's office. Patrick kept taking things away from them and putting them back where they belonged. Please stop humming, Patrick begged. But they wouldn't stop. They kept on humming and exploring. A coworker peered in through Patrick's office window. Desperately, he tried to block her view. Work was becoming nearly impossible, and Patrick was getting a massive headache. I need to hone my message here. Please, he pleaded with the Smurfs. Be quiet. Oh, I've got a message, Brainy offered. Always chew with your mouth closed. Papa taught us that. That's good, Papa agreed. You should use that, Master Winslow. Smurfette added another one. Or dance and be happy.
How about grab life by the grapes?
Gutsy suggested. There were tons more where those came from. Everyone kept throwing ideas at Patrick. I Smurf, therefore I am. Turn that frown upside down.
Hang in there. Always bet on blue. Have a Smurfy day.
Excited to be useful, Smurfette tossed out her favorite Smurf saying, "I kissed a Smurf and I liked it." Papa turned to Patrick proudly.
Well, it's an embarrassment of riches. They're giving you gold.
Patrick rubbed his aching head. "There is no time and I need to do this on my own, okay?" Papa understood.
Yes, very good. That's the honorable thing.
"Thank you," Patrick answered.
But you should try to smurf a message that uplifts the whole village,
Papa said, offering Patrick one last nugget of advice.
Right, Smurfs?
Everyone nodded except Grouchy. He offered Patrick a sympathetic frown.
Welcome to my world.
Below Patrick's office down on Fifth Avenue, Gargamel strode through some thick steam that rose from a manhole cover.
I love emerging dramatically through the smoke, Gargamel said.
He turned back to walk through it again.
It makes me feel so deliciously mysterious.
He swung his cloak around like a supervillain's cape.
Also, it gives the skin a wonderful glow. Meow,
reported Azrael, who was sitting on the sidewalk.
What? Where? Where?
Gargamel glanced around wildly.
Meow,
Azrael replied. Finally, Gargamel spotted it. On the building across the street was a window etched with a very familiar logo. The logo from the business card that had flown into Gargamel's hands when the Smurfs took off on the taxi. Gargamel pulled out the card and held it up to the building, trying to match the insignias.
Curse! Oh, so close,
Gargamel said, assessing that the logo on the card was the exact opposite of the logo on the building.
Meow,
Azrael said once more. Gargamel tilted his head over.
Oh, theirs is upside down. Idiots. They painted it wrong.
He looked again at the card, which he was actually holding upside down. The insignias matched after all. The building was the headquarters of Angelou Cosmetics. Azrael smacked himself in the head with a paw. How his master could be so dense he'd never understand. Quickly, he followed his master across the street. The first floor of the Angelou Cosmetics building held one of their huge customer stores. Gargamel and his cat wandered past shoppers getting makeovers and purchasing products. In the center of the store, Gargamel noticed a well-dressed woman, clearly in charge, addressing a group. He quietly approached. Her assistant held out a jar of cream. The woman, Odile, took a small scoopful and dabbed a bit onto the face of a refined 60-year-old lady.
Be sure to demonstrate how this new anti-aging cream will make any woman look young, beautiful, and vibrant. It's almost magical,
Odile told her sales staff. Henri turned the jar so the Juvenile label showed. Astonishing, really, he praised with amazement. Gargamel reached the front of the crowd. He leaned in to inspect the older woman's face.
I see no transformation, he spat. Your potion has no power.
Excuse me? Odile said, arching her brow at this intruder.
She's still an eye-offending dogfish, if you ask me.
Grimacing, Gargamel turned his face away.
Sir,
Henri exclaimed, appalled.
This is my mother whom you are speaking of,
an offended Odile cried out.
I'm so sorry, I didn't realize.
Gargamel took a longer look at the older woman and then at Odile.
How sad for you in 30 years.
Odile's face flushed red with anger. She turned to her assistant.
Henri, escort this lunatic out.
Henri snapped his fingers, signaling a security guard.
Lunatic!
Gargamel was insulted. The officer wasn't coming fast enough. Security! Henri bellowed across the store.
I am the great and powerful Gargamel, the wizard introduced himself. Lunatic? Could a lunatic do this?
Before the guard could reach him, Gargamel pulled a chopstick hair accessory out of a nearby woman's updo and poured a tiny drop of Smurf essence from inside his ring onto the tip of the stick. Then he placed the end of the stick on the old lady's face.
Alakazootiful,
Gargamel incanted.
poof!
Suddenly the woman's wrinkles disappeared. A youthful, rosy color returned to her face. She looked at least 25 years younger. The room was filled with gasps of awe. Odile's eyes were wide with shock.
Dios mío, mama!
She turned to Gargamel.
How did you do that?
Yes, how? Henri pleaded. And seriously, me next. Gargamel laughed them away.
So sorry, but lunatics and great wizards never reveal their secrets.
Odile's mother caught a glimpse of herself in a mirror.
Dios mío!
She exclaimed before passing out. Turning on his heel, Gargamel called for his cat to follow him.
Come, Azrael. Now where are my Smurfs?
He asked as they headed for the shop exit.
No, don't go.
Odile rushed after Gargamel.
I must know, what did you just do?
Not telling, Gargamel said firmly. Odile grabbed one of his arms.
Please, senor, can you do that again?
Gargamel glanced down at her arm, which was wrapped tightly around his in an embrace.
You may attempt to persuade me, he said finally.
What is it you desire? Odile whispered, leaning into Gargamel, her voice raspy yet inviting. She gently touched his cheek.
Riches, fame, fortune? With my help, the whole world will know the name that is, garbage smell. Gargamel.
Odile corrected herself.
Yes, soon everyone will know the genius that is Gargamel.
Azrael meowed, trying to get Gargamel's attention. But Gargamel was too mesmerized by Odile's compliments to care what his cat was trying to tell him. Gargamel stomped on Azrael's tail, silencing him.
I'm sorry. Did you say genius?
Gargamel asked. Odile just patted Gargamel's arm gently in affirmation, a mischievous smile spreading across her face.